Hello friends, welcome to Adobe After Effects tutorial number 4 or lesson number 4. In this tutorial, like I promised, we would be talking about timelines. Timelines are very important in After Effects, and a timeline is required for you to decide what comes when in your video. As you can see, the timeline is basically, we define the timeline as to how long the video would be, and then basically this is where the timeline is. If you see, there's a small little yellow indicator which is the current time indicator, or we would call it CTI in future because we don't want to call it current time indicator every time. So that's basically the yellow point there, which would indicate you can move that up or down to take you to the timeline wherever you want to go. So if I wanted to go at about 30 seconds, I would come to this timeline. Now what happens is when you're working on any project in After Effects, you need to know what comes when in your timeline, and which is why it is important for you to place your layer or your footage or your videos or your media, whatever you want to call them, in the correct timeline. Now, one of the ways of putting the objects into a timeline or media into a timeline is to go to your footage and then select your footage and just drag and drop that footage on here on the composition window. That's one way of doing it, but I will undo that right now. The other way of doing that is click on the footage, drag it and bring it on the timeline. As you can see, when I dragged it on the timeline, I get another yellow CTI, which I can decide where to, using which I can decide where in the timeline to put this media. So if I decide to put this media here, I can just leave the mouse here, and you would see that the footage or the media is imported into the timeline. I'll undo that again. Now there's another way of doing it, which is like drag and bring the footage or the media into this timeline here, as you can see on my mouse, and you can decide where the footage or the media would appear. So if I put it here, it would appear on top of all the layers which are below it. So if I wanted this to go at the very bottom, or be visible behind the other footages, I would just drag and bring it to the bottom, and as you can see, it has disappeared because the other footages or other medias which are above that. So if you bring it a little up, you would see that it started appearing, but still behind the show and the blue line. So if I move it a little bit further up, you would see it's come up to it's come up above the show and me, and so on. You can basically change the visibility of a layer by dragging it up or down in your timeline. So I will undo that now, or maybe I will just simply delete that layer. But before I do that, I'm going to quickly show you how these little eye icons. Can you see the eye icons? If I click on that eye icon and if I uncheck that from the box, you would see that the banner is no more visible. If I bring that icon back, I would be able to see the footage or the media on my composition or on my timeline. So if I wanted to say, for example, if I wanted to take off some of these, I'm just going to show this here. If I wanted to take off some of these text or pictures, all I need to do is just simply start unchecking these eye icons. So if I say, for example, if I click on the show, the eye icon on the show text, it would disappear, and if I click it back, it would appear again. Similarly, you would see that next to the eye icon there's a small dot. We call it the solo, which means that if I click on this icon, everything else would disappear except this. So this would become solo, and if I click it again, everything else would appear again. You can click more than one solo, that's absolutely alright, but the main purpose of solo is to just make one layer visible. So that's basically it about timeline. The other thing that I was about to tell you about timeline is, if you can see, if I click on this banner, you would see this banner is basically appearing on my videos right from the start until the end. Now I don't want to do that. I want this banner to appear, say appear only when this screen comes up. So what I would do is start dragging this layer and bring it exactly to the red line where I want it to start appearing. And if I wanted to stop appearing after, say, this screen, I would go to the end of the footage and drag it and bring it back again to the red line, this red line on my timeline. So what would happen is this footage or media would only appear for that time, for that timeline, in short. Yeah, that's one way of doing it. Now what I would do is I'd get rid of this. I'd delete this layer. So the easiest way is to select that and press delete or the backspace. The other thing that you can do to go to the exact timeline, if I wanted to go to a particular frame to work on that frame, I can do that by dragging the time here or clicking it once and putting exactly the frame or the timeline that I want to go to. So if I wanted to go to the second frame on the 16 second, I can do that right now by doing this. Yeah. Or if I wanted to go to some other frame, say about 10 seconds, I could do that by just entering 10 there. Yeah, so I come on the timeline. On my video, I come to the timeline where it's just about 10 seconds and 2 frames. So that's basically it, friends. In the next video, we would learn how to animate using Adobe After Effects. And until then, keep watching the videos and try and practice what you learned today. I'll see you in the next tutorial. Have a lovely day. Cheers, bye.